In a quiet, peaceful village nestled between rolling green hills, there lived people who valued beauty above all else. From the moment a child was born, their appearance determined how they were treated. A handsome boy was praised, a beautiful girl was cherished, and those who looked ordinary or different were often overlooked. At the center of the village stood a grand mirror hall, a place where villagers gathered to admire themselves and each other. Large, polished mirrors lined the walls, reflecting perfect images of the people who stood before them. Men spent hours adjusting their hair, ensuring their clothes looked pristine. Women compared their jewelry, checking to see who sparkled the brightest. Even children were taught to seek beauty above all else, often hearing phrases like, "A lovely face brings luck," or "A pretty smile opens doors." However, over time, vanity took root. Kindness faded, replaced by silent judgments and cruel whispers. A young girl with a birthmark on her cheek once played joyfully with her friends. But as they grew older, the other children, influenced by their parents, began avoiding her. "She doesn't belong in our group," one girl whispered, turning away. The lonely girl sat by the river, watching her reflection ripple, wondering why her heart felt so heavy. A kind-hearted blacksmith, despite his hard work, found himself struggling. His hands were rough, his face darkened from years by the forge. When he entered the market to buy supplies, merchants greeted him coldly, giving better prices to the wealthier, well-groomed men. "You should clean yourself up," one seller sneered, dismissing him as if his skills meant nothing. Even friendships suffered. A once inseparable pair of young men slowly drifted apart. One grew into a tall, striking figure, while the other remained short and plain. At gatherings, the handsome one was surrounded by admirers, while his friend sat alone, unnoticed. At first, the handsome man invited him over, but soon he too began to ignore him, ashamed to be seen with someone ordinary. The village had unknowingly built a world where reflections mattered more than the hearts that beat within them. Those deemed less attractive were excluded from gatherings, overlooked for opportunities, and left to believe they were unworthy. Among them lived an old woman known as Grandmother 𝗟𝗲𝗏. She had once been the most beautiful woman in the village, admired by all in her youth. But as years passed and wrinkles replaced her once smooth skin, she noticed the village growing colder toward her. People who once greeted her warmly now walked past without a second glance. She understood the pain of being seen only for one's looks, and she knew she had to change things before it was too late. One evening, as the village prepared for their annual beauty festival, where the most attractive man and woman would be crowned, Grandmother 𝗟𝗏𝗏 walked into the mirror hall with a heavy wooden staff. No one noticed the old woman at first, as they were too busy admiring themselves. Then, with an unexpected crack, she struck the first mirror, shattering it into countless shards. Gasps filled the hall as the villagers turned to see her lift her staff again. Crash! Another mirror fell, one by one. She smashed them all, her aged hands steady, her eyes burning with determination. "You have spent too long worshipping these reflections," she declared. "But when you look at these mirrors, do you see kindness? Do you see love? Do you see a good heart? No, you see only glass. You have forgotten what truly matters." The villagers stood frozen. Some were too shocked to speak, others too horrified to look away from the broken pieces that once held their beloved reflections. But 𝗟𝗏𝗏 wasn't finished. That night, as the village slept, she went from house to house, breaking every single mirror. By dawn, not a single reflective surface remained in the village, not in homes, not in shops, not even in the smallest hand mirrors carried by the wealthiest women. When the villagers awoke, confusion spread like wildfire. People touched their faces, searching for their reflections. They ran to the mirror hall, only to find it in ruins. "How will we know if we look good?" they cried. "How will we choose the most beautiful at the festival?" But there were no mirrors left to answer them. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the village began to change. Without mirrors, people no longer compared appearances, but instead noticed laughter, warmth, and the kindness in one another's eyes. The lonely girl with the birthmark found herself surrounded by friends who admired her for her intelligence and humor. The blacksmith, once ignored, was now appreciated for his craftsmanship and generosity. Even the handsome young man, who had abandoned his friend, felt ashamed of his past and made amends. Years passed, and when a traveling merchant arrived selling mirrors, no one was interested. Some villagers took a glance at their reflections out of curiosity, but quickly turned away. They no longer needed mirrors to define their worth. They had learned to see beauty in hearts, not faces. And so the mirror hall was never rebuilt, and the village remained forever changed. True beauty is not in how we look, but in how we make others feel. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, do like and subscribe and share with your friends.